What's up, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Card Talk Canada. I'm Adrian Coleman. How are you doing?
I'm doing good, Adrian. Thanks. It's good to be back, and it's we're picking up this time of year. It's getting towards Expo season, and it is getting busy. How are you?
But yeah, I can feel the busyness of the fall Q4 coming around. Shows almost every weekend, and they're big shows at that. Um, there's a lot going on. We both just had some big shows, and we're going to a big show this weekend. So, why don't we start with Vancouver?
Yeah,
How was that
what?
for you?
Vancouver was awesome. It was such a great experience being out there for the first time. And one of the best things was being able to meet all of you guys and all of my clients, all of the followers who it was just great to see them in person. And you want to what? It was packed on there. All 3 days were super busy with people throughout the whole thing. And it was really good. Vancouver stuff flew on Friday, day one. High end hockey was getting all the love. And it's really great to see as we keep talking about how the market's been and how so many people are getting involved and how so many people are viewing this as alternative investments and wanting to put their money into it and really wanting to be a part of the hobby. And Adrian, I know you were at the True North Expo. How was that? We were maybe just a quick recap. We're going to dive deeper into both of them later in the episode, but
Yeah, I mean, off the top, like it was a great show for us. As you would expect, it was a first time show, 2 day show. So obviously Saturday was way better than the Sunday. Sunday was a lot slower, but that's as you would expect. But I have no complaints. I thought the show was overall fantastic, and the chicken poutine I was grabbing from the food truck they had on site was the bomb.
so there you go. That's always good. And hey, and that's always the thing that we always want is how do we get food during a show? We're so busy at tables, and it's nice when there's something easily set up for us to grab. So I don't know. What about the True North Expo? How was the show layout? How was the vibes of it? The vendors? Kind of give me a full rundown of what everything was about.
Yeah, the show layout was pretty good. It was three long rows and tables along the outside. Um, Size wise, probably slightly bigger than the Capital City show. Um, And then vendor wise, I'd say it was probably a 60-40 split sports to Pokemon.
There you go.
Um, but the sports was very diverse. There was baseball, there was football, there was basketball, soccer, and lots of hockey, obviously, like probably 25% hockey at the whole show.
That's good.
Um, but it was a pretty strong show. We saw some people only do the one day. Some vendors didn't decide to do both days, so that was a little bit different. But those of us that did 2 days enjoyed our time. There was lots of vendor to vendor deals. We did see lots of new faces for the area. Like we have a lot of Markham shows, but we saw a lot of new people for the first time, which was nice to meet
That is good.
new people. Because that doesn't always happen.
That is good. Yeah, and kind of going off that, at Vancouver, it was their second time doing the show, and it was great. There was over 450, I think 500 tables, and they were jam packed. There was people, there was lots of Pokemon, lots of hockey. I feel like maybe some of the other sports were underrepresented a bit, like maybe some of the more purely American sports. There was still a good mix of that, but it was just there was so many people who were out there looking for specific cards, looking to make deals, and it was really good to see. Not just Pokemon's always been at all these shows we go to, it's always super popular, it's always people, but not only did the Pokemon side flourish, I think at VanCity the sports side also flourished. There was so many deals that I saw being done on the sports side and also on the Pokemon TCG side. But some of the coolest cards I've seen walk up to the booth and some of the nicest people. And man, what a place Vancouver is. You take a look at where the venue of the Vancouver Convention Center, it's right on the water. You're right near where the cruise ships dock, and it is absolutely stunning. And I suggest anyone, if you get a chance to get out there, get out there.
We've talked before, like the Montreal shows, everyone's asking for Hudson. The Toronto shows, everyone is asking for Knives. What were people asking for the most at the Vancouver show? Like, and were you prepared for it?
People were asking a lot for Quinn Hughes, and that was something that I knew I'd prepped going into, but I don't think I prepped enough. I don't think I understand how badly some of those Vancouver players were actually going to move. All my Hughes stuff moved day one on Friday. Another guy who was sneaky was Elias Pettersson. Lots of people think he's at a point where next season he's going to kind of prove himself and he's going to show himself better than he did last year, maybe with all those less distractions and all of that. But people think his market's going to take a bounce back. And there were some absolutely amazing collections out there, some dealers with some great stuff that I've never seen before, just because we don't see it on this side of the country. And normally we don't interact or we don't get to see each other at these shows. So it was great to see that. And lots and lots of buying, which was it was probably one of the best shows I've been to for buying. And we are loaded and ready to go for Montreal Expo this weekend and Toronto Expo coming up in just over a month now. So it's going to be really exciting.
Yeah, that I mean, Elias Pettersson, I've been thinking about a lot recently. I've got it's fantasy week basically for hockey. All the drafts happening over the next 7 days, and he's definitely been talked about as that bounce back candidate after that tough year last year.
For sure.
Um, what about the crowds though? Were people still looking for, like, the young guns, future watches, or is it different on the West Coast than what we deal with here in Ontario?
No, I think it's a lot of the same things, and one of the greatest things that always sells are your raw young guns. Lots of grading potentials, and I think we went through about 70 or 80 raw young guns over the weekend. Just craziness of having to restock the case over and over again. People were out there looking for high end stuff as well. There were lots of collectors who were looking to kind of get into the high end market or add to their collection of high end stuff, and lots of offers, lots of people looking to get into it right now because, as we typically see during the season, prices start to increase as players start to play well. And also on the opposite, if a player is expected to come out hot and doesn't, it's going to be a sharp decline. But it was a great show, and there was lots of high end that we don't get the opportunity to see normally. Lots of high end from the West Coast teams. Lots of McDavid, lots of Leon, lots of Quinn Hughes, lots of incredible cards.
Yeah, we don't get to. I feel like we've always been missing out on some of those high ends because, like, at the Toronto Expo, especially, like, we see tons of high end Leafs, tons of high end Habs, and a few of the other, like, Canadian stars. Obviously, the McDavids come out to play, but there's always those guys who are building that one collection for that one player, and when they put all that in one showcase, it's like always a spectacle to see.
For sure. And I saw some of that out there. Some of these guys who are primarily West Coast dealers, they have just absolutely incredible inventory, and I wish they were closer. I wish we could do more deals, but I was lucky enough to be able to do some great deals with some dealers that I never had the opportunity to before. And it'll be something where I'll keep their contact because they have a great lineup of inventory. And I know you guys would love a lot of their inventory. So um
Yeah, we've talked about we're gonna have to make one of these trips out west with you one day. And speaking of the traveling out there, like, this was your first time traveling with a lot of product and inventory. What was that like? And you think you're good to do it again?
Yeah, so you know what? It was definitely a learning curve. As normally I would just bring a select few bit of inventory, but I wanted to bring a lot of stuff out there. I wanted to get kind of everything or a lot of stuff I had out in front of clients out there. And I think that it was definitely a challenge, and it was a little bit worrisome at times because sending some of the cards under on the airplane and not knowing whether they're going to show up at the baggage claim or not. That was one thing that I did. So I kind of split it up. I put most expensive cards and everything into my carry-on Zion, and then I put another batch of stuff into my backpack, and then I put mostly more of the mid-tier stuff right into a suitcase in Zion, wrapped in bubble wrap and all kind of taped up. Another thing that I found very useful was having air tags in each of the cases that had cards and everything, just for me to be able to watch it, just for a peace of mind, knowing, okay, it made it on the plane, it got through here, it's there now, and just watching it throughout the show because you never know what's going to happen even at night. So making sure one of those air tags is put away or that. But overall, it was a pretty flawless experience. Getting through, got to the airport, checked everything in, hung out, then got on the plane. It's a quick flight, 5 hours from Ottawa. But once you get to those Rocky Mountains, some of the most incredible views out of the airplane, and it's just flying right into Vancouver, and just an absolutely incredible opportunity to go there and vend. And we can't wait for next year. We will be for sure increasing our foot size of booth, and we'll be bringing even more inventory next year to be able to show all you guys and be able to hopefully make deals with all you guys.
Seems to be the trend with us. We always go to one of these shows and we're like, all right, next time we're going bigger. We're going bigger every time.
Yeah, well, it's good. It's just it's so reflective on the way that the hobby is growing. And you look at just the sales volumes of stuff month over month, and they're increasing and increasing. And I just think it's such a great time for everyone to get involved, whether you want to collect a certain team or player, whether you want to look at it as an investment opportunity. There's different paths for each and every single of one of everyone who is able to collect and pursue the hobby in a different way.
Yeah, it's so reflective of, like, the direction the hobby's going, and it's just up and bigger and bigger and bigger, and that was, like, part of me for the True North Expo. It was my first show back since my road trip, so, like, I am absolutely fully stocked right now for
Yes,
those
good
are
ones.
fully stocked right now, and this is also have 2 more boxes outside of this.
Do you have any recent pickups you want to? Speaking of pickups that you want to show off
Um,
right now?
One thing that I kinda went crazy on at the True North show was some Future Watches. So, we took in a Dustin Brown Future Watch Auto patch.
Very nice.
Um, we got a Pasternak Future Watch. We got a Bergeron Future Watch. We got a Fleury Future Watch, and, an even bigger one, we took in an Ovi Future Watch.
That's a
So,
peak.
like, this is just, like, a pretty nice fan out I like to do right now and see all of those lined up.
I'll add
Um,
one in.
yeah, put that in there. That's a sweet one. That's a sweet one. You just picked that one up recently. Macklin, I found was really hot at the True North show. Macklin and Michikov. Everybody was there asking for the two of them.
I did sell out of all my Mitchkov and Macklin Young Guns at the VanCity Expo as well. So yeah, I think he's going to be super hot coming in. They're both super hot coming into the season.
One
Well,
more feature watch I've got to show off.
let's see it.
You know who my dog is. You know who my dog is.
There you go. Look at that. Woo!
Nathan
Look at
McKee
that patch.
Future Watch Auto patch, and it's actually the top of the mountain. If you put it this way, that is the top of the mountain on the crest.
That's unreal.
So that's my big, PC pickup, and I picked up a few young guns of him as well, so loading up on him again as we get closer into the season.
Good. He's going to have a year, hopefully. And, with the Olympics right around the corner, that's another big opportunity. I know after probably in another episode, we'll get into more about what we think about the Olympics and how there might be a good opportunity to start picking up some of those guys who are maybe more third, fourth liners on Team Canada, Team USA, but who are going to provide a big impact on those teams and whose market could see a big spike.
Oh, yeah, most definitely. But, you know, before the Olympics is gonna be a while, but the next big thing we got going for us is the Montreal Expo this weekend, Friday,
Baby.
Saturday, Sunday. Here we go.
It's Montreal Expo time, and it's honestly it is one of the best shows of the year every single year. It's arguably Quebec's best show, in my opinion, best one I've been to, and it is this weekend, October 3rd to the 5th. It is going to be a great show. What do you think? Are you excited? Are you ready to go for this weekend?
I'm so excited. Once again, I have the most stock I've ever had, so I'm super excited. Last time we didn't have all of Juice there. We've grown in size again. We got most of Juice again coming out. We're set up in the same spot with you. Like last time, I believe we have 416, 516, and 515,
Yeah,
which
yeah,
is
we same booth.
basically our own island.
Yeah.
Which is very nice to have all that space. A few of the boys, House of Habs is coming, Pop Culture Habits is coming, set up with us. Um, we can't wait to see Cap City Hobby. We haven't seen them in a while. So we're very excited to get out there and see what we can do on the floor.
So I do just want to quick pop this up here. I don't know. Can we see it on screen?
Yes, sir.
So here we are. This is going to be the floor plan for the Montreal Expo this coming weekend. As you can see, tons of booths, lots of tables, and so many vendors that are going to be ready. We are going to be down here at 515, 516, and 416 as well. So we're going to be right across from the Ultra Pro Autograph Pavilion. If you come in the entrance here, take a left and then walk down to the last aisle and take a right, you will see us right there. We're going to have altogether probably over 20 showcases of inventory. We are going to be locked and loaded and ready to go to help you guys get whatever you're looking for. And if there's stuff that you want to sell beforehand, reach out to either me or Adrian or any of us. We'll be happy to give you guys an offer and hopefully get some cash in your hands.
Yep, and we've loved chatting with our viewers who've seen us at shows. There was a few guys who came up to me again at the True North show. So if there's anyone listening in Quebec that's going to be there, come by even just to say hello. Some of our other vendors that we talk with regularly, if you want to be a guest on the podcast, let us know as well. We'll work out a time to get you on and tell your story. So do as well. Come just chat with us, see us, and we'll see what we can do.
Yeah, for sure. So, okay, speaking of Montreal, what are you prepping for this week? How are you preparing? I know we briefly talked and you talked about repricing all your cards, getting all that ready. Anything else are you doing to prepare for this weekend?
No, I did a bit of sorting. I'm planning to, do the typical laid out by putting the young guns together, the future watches, some of the lower end patch autos and stuff to the sides and spreading that all out. Originally, when I was doing a lot of my buying, I was trying to buy up a lot of Hab stuff to bring a lot of stuff to Montreal. But as you guys know, we've had Nick on before. Nick's our local Hab guy, and he's kind of every trade night we've had slowly taking it all away from me. So I think I've got like two Habs cards left.
There you go.
But, otherwise, I'm pretty happy with the inventory I'll be bringing, a little bit of everything, but nothing too specific. What about you?
You know what? I think, as we talked about, I think there's some key guys going into this expo. I think Celebrini, Hudson, Mitchkov, I think they're going to be super hot overall. But then there's the new one. I know we only have artifacts right now, and I know it's not the greatest product. It's not our favorite. But some of the Demidov artifacts cards are going to be hot. And if you have one in the room, it's going to be a hot ticket just because, again, supply and demand. The Montreal fans are going to be wanting a Demidov card. They're going to be want to start collecting them now because you just see in preseason. I don't know if you watched any of it, but just the way that he moves around and he's going to be a special player and people are going to want to snatch his cards.
Yeah, I think there's gonna be people that'll start asking for it, but a lot of us won't be able to be like, "Well, we don't have any because he's only been out in 1 set so far." So hopefully the Hudsons that we do have will also be moving. But I definitely, I've said it last time on the podcast, I'm excited for Demidov. He's showing a lot of promise.
Yeah, and he's again that whole Montreal team. I think every player on that team. I think Hudson, as we talked about. I think Suzuki. I think Caulfield. I think Slavkovsky. I think all those guys are going to be very popular. I even think, especially one that I've seen in Vancouver was very popular. That's kind of a sneaky one. Is Jake Evans. Jake Evans was very popular in Vancouver. I had 4 sales of him. Normally, when I would have 0. And people are saying that you know what Montreal bought into him. They gave him the contract, and they think he's going to be a more predominant player on that team and just continue to produce as he has. Maybe giving himself more minutes from the team and just having more opportunity. But that's another guy who I think may be popular as well as everyone else on that Montreal team.
Yeah, 100%. They're gonna be a team to keep an eye on, especially if they throw a couple win streaks together. I think we're gonna see some crazy price changes happening. We've already started to see some price changes happening, with some players that are heating up, but we'll get to that a little later in the episode when we go through some hobby hot headlines. But, any tips for the first time attendees to the Montreal Expo?
Yeah, I think the Montreal Expo, you have to it's not as big as a show as the Toronto Expo or the Vancouver Expo, but it's a quality show. And I think what you have to do is you really have to explore the whole room. So get in there, walk all the rows, walk every single inch of it. Make sure you take a look at all the tables and start doing deals. The one thing, it's the same thing for every show. Do your due diligence and walk around and see all the tables. But also, if you see a card that you can't resist, it will go fast. There are tons of people at the Montreal Expo, especially on the Friday, who are going to be hunting and looking for specific cards, and they're going to go fast. So I think that Friday would be a great opportunity to get in there. And if there's a specific card you really want, get there fast before it has the opportunity to go. What about for you, Adrian? I know you like walking around as soon as you get to the show, making sure that there's cards that you have an eye on, or there's stuff you maybe want to trade into. But what about you? What is your plan, and what should plans be for the first time people at Montreal Expo?
100%, you're already spot on. I think the Friday is really busy at the Montreal Expo. A lot of guys who know what they're looking for and like those big cards come in on that Friday, and a lot of stuff gets picked up. It's happened a lot where those people say, "Oh, I should have picked it up, but I walked around and then it's gone. I couldn't find it again." So don't be that person. One logistical tip is it is on turf, so bring a water bottle. Stay hydrated. You know the turf is built to dehydrate the air and suck up all the moisture. So bring a water bottle. There are water fountains to refill, but make sure that you're hydrated throughout the whole show, because it's not the biggest, but the room itself, being a turf facility is definitely takes a toll. So if you're going to do multiple days, make sure you're staying hydrated.
Give me kind of a rundown of what your inventory is looking like, maybe just to give the listeners what are you bringing? What's kind of in your repertoire for what? Are you bringing lots of Pokemon? Are you bringing a good mix of stuff? Or what is it though?
I've I'm not bringing my Pokemon. I'm getting a little picky. I'm not bringing my Pokemon, and I'm not bringing my Maple Leafs. I will have all of the Future Watches I showed off earlier. I've got a collection of Young Gun 10s coming out. I've got some really cool Cup RPAs under $100 that have like crazy patches of some old guys like Tobias Enstrom, Dustin Bufflin, Zach Bogosian. So those are some really cool ones that I'll be bringing out. But those would be like some of my highlight pieces that people would probably want to come check out if they're looking for something cool to pick up. But what about you? What have you got for the people?
Bringing the normal stuff, lots of Young Guns, lots of Future Watch autos, Future Watch patches, cup stuff, just good names, good autos, good patches. And we'll also be bringing lots of Pokemon booster boxes, blisters, sleeve packs, art sets, singles. There'll be a mix of everything there. And we'll be looking if you want to cross over from Pokemon to sports or sports to Pokemon, we're happy to do that as well. And should be an absolutely amazing show, though, for both aspects of it.
100%. And I don't think I'm preparing anything for grading at the moment, but I do know I'm probably going to set aside a few cards, and I might drop off some cards with Slab Sharks if they're running their usual Montreal promo. So for context, in the past, there's another big auction house out of Montreal called Savage. And to compete with Savage and run a strong promotion, Slab Sharks offers any somewhere in the range of 90 to 92.5% if you submit at the expo. So that might be something that you might want to take a chance on if you're confident where your auction will land. But I know that last expo I did the same thing, wrapped up a bunch of cards on the last day and dropped it off with Slab Sharks. So I'm probably gonna be doing that one again.
Well, I think it's a great option that they give just to kind of get more people involved in it and getting kind of more money into your accounts if you decide to use them. And I know it's always a great show, and people are always super excited about their promotion for that as well. Speaking of, are you going to be looking for anything specific? Are you trying to buy anything specific? I know, kind of looking ahead and kind of looking into future shows, we're looking at the Toronto Expo coming up. Are you kind of in the back of your mind starting to think, let's start prepping for that? Let's start buying for that. Is that something that's going to be on your mind at all in Montreal? Or is that something that you're kind of pushing a bit further down the line?
I'd say specifically, I'm probably pushing a bit further down the line. I'm, learning how to have such high volume of inventory right now. So, um, I'm trying to settle into that factor. But I'm definitely on the hunt for some cards to personally own. Um, I think I've mentioned this one to you. I am looking for a big Sidney Crosby card. Looking to pick something up in that range, but haven't quite decided on where I want to pull the trigger on just yet. But, Sidney Crosby, I think I'm looking to pick something nice up of him just to say that I owned one, and potentially a McDavid Future Watch auto because I've owned a lot of the top guys' Future Watch autos, but he's the only one I haven't yet. So just to, check off the list, I might need to, figure out a way to pick up one of those.
There you go. I'm sure there'll be some for sale.
Yeah. What about you? You looking for anything specific? We know, well, you're gonna say Wyatt. We know you're always looking for nice Wyatts,
Will
but,
be looking for some Wyatt, but honestly, I would like some Ottawa Senator stuff to come by the booth. I would love some Young Guns, some Future Watch autos, some patches, just good stuff of some Senators players. Um I think overall, in the back of my mind, I'm starting to look towards Toronto Expo, and I'm starting to kind of think about. I would love some Matthews stuff. I would love some Nylander, some Nyes, some even some Stolar stuff. I would love to get some of that this weekend. So I think it's something that I'll be looking for. But honestly, whatever walks up to the booth, I'm just excited to see what that is and what deals can possibly be done that way.
Yeah, I remember there's one card that's been floating around between vendors that I missed the chance on last Montreal Expo, but it walked up to me, which was the Austin Matthews limited logos.
Yes.
That one came by the booth, and I thought that was a cool one, but I didn't have anything at the time to get it done or the cash available. So I made sure that this time I'm coming with the cash available, the cards that would be enticing for someone trying to trade a piece like that. So that's been my biggest change from last year to this year. Are you doing anything differently from last year to this year? Or this is what your third Montreal Expo that you're setting up at?
Yeah, this will be the third one, and do you know what? Nothing really too differently. I think I want to have more showcases with more inventory out this year, and I just think overall, one of the things that I didn't really talk about VanCity was showcases and having to rent those, and they're not being the same depth as the one I usually use, so I couldn't stack my cards the same way. So it was something where I had to utilize the space in a much more efficient manner, and I think that taught me a lot about how organized and how efficiently kind of spaced out and placed everything should be inside of a showcase. So I've redesigned my whole plan on that. And so it'll be kind of a new setup for that. But everything else will be the same. Um, Banners, posters, we got tables and everything we got to bring, but it's all part of the fun stuff.
Perfect. Now, moving into some of our market talk and hobby headlines, I don't know if you've noticed, but I've noticed a few guys that have recently been heating up the market real quick. Uh,
Really?
if you can guess, one of them's been in the news a lot recently, specifically today. His market is catching fire again. Can you guess?
Kirill Kaprizov.
Yeah, he just signed for the big money, biggest contract in NHL history.
Crazy sale.
But
Crazy.
his sales have been through the roof. His young gun's touching 250 again, which is impressive considering there was an off-season low of like 165, 170, like 3, 4 months ago. So it's been really impressive that that market's been picking up. Interestingly enough, a lot of those purchases have been like best offers, buy nows, not too many auction plays on that. So it is someone with deep pockets. That's my speculation that is going on eBay and doing some damage. Um, but are you surprised by the market? Like for me, Kaprizov, he scares me. He
I
scares me.
think one of the things that we have to look at is I like to look at where the player and who's following them. Again, he's a Russian born player, centerman, so that's great. Again, he plays in Minnesota, though. It's not a great market. So when I think about long term investments, I think about kind of the upside and the market kind of cap, if you want to call it that. I just don't know how much higher his cap can go unless Minnesota starts performing really well and going deep into the playoffs and him playing absolutely incredible. I just think it's a different story if he was in Montreal, if he was in Toronto, if he was in just a bigger hockey market overall. And not that Minnesota's not an absolutely amazing hockey market, because it is. We know with high school hockey in Minnesota, with college hockey in Minnesota, just everything. They are a hockey state. But the hobby isn't there's not as much hobby love, I don't feel. You don't see people going to drop $5,000-$10,000 on a Kirill Kaprizov card every day. But you do see Montreal fans going out for the new Lane Hudson. Speaking of Lane Hudson, what did the one of one black Future Watch Auto patch sell for?
I believe it ended at around 26,000, 27,000.
There's an example. We're looking at a very much unproven player. I understand he had an amazing season, but if you look at it on a long term scale of things, if we look at how many players had one good year and then maybe never followed it up, then it's crazy to think about. But there are, I think, looking at it like this, there are so many other players. Maybe you look at maybe the older vintage market and Hall of Famers rookie card who are so cheap compared to what these players are and what they've done. I just think one of them has to change, whether it's the high end of Hudson has to fall a bit, or I think these other players who are maybe undervalued are going to get the boost to kind of adjust that. Sorry for going on a little rant here about that, but I think that there's one thing that these players, these we talked about Demidov, what is his market going to be like? And I understand there's so much hype behind him, but we might see his prices might be higher than Bedard on release day, higher than Celebrini this year or Mitchkov. Who knows what these prices are going to reach? And it's only time will tell, especially with that Montreal market.
I was very shocked actually to see him in Series 1. He's on the Series 1 checklist, so he's gonna be coming out, mid-November, I believe, is the release date.
Well,
So
a little snippet on that is what I've learned from someone is that for Series 1, if you have played a game in the NHL, you will be in Series 1. If you have
gotcha,
not played yet, you'll be in Series 2. So,
gotcha. So that
I will
makes more sense as to why, like, the Schaefers, the Misas, or the Easton Cowans haven't quite cracked the
well,
lineup
we
quite.
saw Bedard as well, Series 2 for Bedard and all of that.
Yeah,
Nyes was in Series 1
yeah.
because he would play, and that was something I never knew, so kudos to whoever sent that to me on in the DMs. I'm not sure who exactly it was, I'll take a look, but thank you to you because that's some really useful information.
Yeah, and the other player that I've noticed is really heating up, well, one, I believe Frank Nazar, he's on fire. He's having a really strong preseason, and his market just skyrocketed immediately. The other big name, who's a lot less, much safer, who's I've seen change off season to now, Sidney Crosby is back on the rise. His young and tens comping over 4,000 again,
I did see that.
which is pretty impressive considering we saw off-season lows of 34, 35. So it's a really good up spike there. And I think that's because we are seeing such a rush of money into the market right now. And that is one of the safer cards for new investors with deep pockets to get into.
Well, I think it's also one of the iconic cards. I think when you look back at the hobby in maybe 20, 30 years, like we look at the Gretzky card, that's one of those cards. He's one of the greatest Canadians of all time to play the game. And I think overall, he's just going to have such an important legacy and history on the sport. Is that that's just going to be one of those cards that is iconic for a very, very long time.
100%. 100%.
Okay, so I recently got a new DM on Instagram, and you know what was a question? He was very interested in how our kind of setup and stuff was. This is coming from Nick P. Um, what does prep look like for you guys on a day of a big show, especially if you're traveling the same day? And Adrian, I know this is going to be a little bit of answers from me and you just because we're located in different places, but we'll start with you. What does it look like? Let's say the Toronto Expo, what does it look like when you are coming for on Thursday, getting set up on Thursday for the Toronto Expo?
Yeah, when I'm getting set up for the Toronto Expo, um, for me, it's much closer, so it's about a 45-minute drive, at the most. The biggest thing is just making sure all the inventory is packed. The biggest challenge is always fitting all the display cases in the car. That's typically the biggest challenge, but especially for the bigger shows, is the logistic of food, water, making sure that you're fully stocked, not needing to leave the boots because it is very long days. Um, and so that's one of like the key tricks is either knowing that you're going to be buying food where you're going to be buying it from or packing a lunch. I know for the Toronto Expo last year, I packed a lunch on a lot of days. There's the CSG show that actually does lunches for vendors recently that we've been enjoying, which has been pretty good. But for me, I'm just a bit on my gym bulking phase right now. So I'm really thinking about the food and what we're eating. So that's where logistically it comes down to that. Montreal, I'm traveling to Montreal bright and early in the morning, and it's about a 6-hour drive. So it's the same case of making sure that we're eating before arriving because it's going to be a long day from 3 to 8 o'clock. And then we'll probably do dinner after 8 o'clock instead of, the usual like 5, 6 o'clock dinner time. So it's just really focusing on the planning and the timing. But when it's these long days, is making sure you're hydrated and energized and you have a good sleep. But you travel in almost every time, just like same day, wherever it is, all the way from Ottawa. What's been your technique and how do you survive those?
Yeah, especially so the Toronto Expo is a little different than a one-day show, but one-day shows normally it's a midnight to 2 a.m. leave, and then you get down there for the show. But for Toronto Expo, normally leave at about 6 a.m., get on the highway, get there around 10, start unpacking, start unloading and prepping. And again, biggest thing is showcases, getting the space in there because I travel with almost 10 to 12 showcases. So it's a mission getting those all packed in, making sure the inventory is all laid out correctly. And but it's always such a great weekend and such a great show. It's always worth it. And one of the big things you talked about is staying hydrated and making sure you have water, snacks, and food. And sometimes it gets along, you get so busy and caught up that you don't have an opportunity to get away. So make sure you have someone or have something that you can drink or eat, because it'll just overall make your day so much better and make you just happier, I guess.
100%. And I forgot to mention is like the bag of supplies, like supplies, not just for like the logistics, like food and stuff, but like actual sport card supplies. And I think that's a key one, especially for longer shows where you're traveling. So for us as vendors, the price guns, pens, markers, cards, um, but also for regular attendees, like you always want to have sleeves, top loaders, team bags, all that stuff to have with you
You
because
never
you never know when you're going to be ripping something that you really want to sleeve. Like sometimes you just spontaneously rip the cup, boom, in Vancouver.
really.
Sorry, talk about it. It was a bad rip. You didn't hit.
Oh, sad.
I'm leaving that in. But that's probably going to be it for us today. It's Tuesday now that we're filming. We've got about 48 hours left to prep and get ready to go for Friday. Reminder for everyone, we will be located near the Autograph Pavilion at booths 515, 516, and 416. Juice Labs and Ontario Card Corner will be side by side. I think this is our first show that we're unveiling our Card Talk Canada banner.
Yep, we'll have Card Talk Canada banner. Come say hi, come ask us questions, and maybe we'll get a little live segment for the podcast on Friday. So come by, come check us out. We'll be there. All of us will be buying all weekend. We'll have lots of cash ready to give you guys for your cards. So please come by, sell us all your cards, everything you have.
Buying, selling, and trading. We love trading.
We love trading. Come
I've got
by.
a lot of big traders right now. I'm so excited to trade those. I can't wait.
Yeah, so Adrian, it was good chatting with you, and we will make sure everyone to follow, like, and subscribe. And we can't wait to see all of you this weekend. Can't wait to see you, Adrian, this weekend. And it's going to be a great show.
Yes, it will be. If you're coming, DM us and we'll see you there.